Exploring the cost of housing in the USA. How much do you need to earn to stay below 30% of your income? Let's delve into why there's so much housing insecurity in the USA. Now, there is a wee bit of math in this episode, so you should pull up the transcript on whatever podcast platform you're listening to, since I will be reading out the numbers and it may be a bit hard to follow. If you are viewing this podcast on YouTube, I have also provided closed captions. Note that all my podcasts do have a transcript or closed captions added for future reference. There is a significant amount of housing insecurity in the USA. According to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, in 2021, the U.S. had a shortage of over 7 million affordable and available rental homes for extremely low-income renters. This shortage has led to a significant homelessness, housing instability, and high housing cost burdens for many Americans. Additionally, the COVID-19 pandemic has further exacerbated the housing insecurity crisis, with many individuals and families facing eviction or struggling to pay their rent or mortgage. As of March 2023, the annual median cost of homeowners insurance is $1,428 for a policy that covers $250,000. The median home price in the USA as of 2022 was $428,700. This median price suggests that the median annual homeowners insurance cost is $2,448.73. As of March 2023, the average interest rate is 6.49%. Also, as of March 2023, the minimum down payment on a house that is required is at least 3% on a conventional loan. For the medium house, you must save $12,861 at a bare minimum. Suppose the median cost of a house is $428,700 and the median cost of homeowners insurance is $2,448.73. In that case, the interest rate is 6.49%, the minimum down payment required is 3%. How much money would you have to make to stay below 30% of your gross income? How much money would you have to make to stay at or below 30% of your income after taxes? For a home costing $428,700 with monthly homeowners insurance of $2,448.73, to stay below 30% of your gross income for housing costs, you need to earn at least $134,961.60 per year. To stay at or below 30% of your income after taxes for housing costs, assuming a tax rate of 25%, you need to earn at least $168,702 per year. To determine how much money you would have to make per year to stay below 30% of your gross income for housing costs, you can use the following calculation. To calculate the monthly mortgage payment, we can use the formula for a fixed-rate mortgage. M equals P times the quantity of I times the quantity of 1 plus I raised to the power of n, all divided by the quantity of 1 plus I raised to the power of n minus 1. Where M is the monthly payment, P is the principal amount or loan amount, I is the monthly interest rate, and N is the total number of monthly payments, which is 30 years times 12 months equaling 360. First, we need to calculate the monthly interest rate, which is the annual interest rate divided by 12. I equals 6.49% divided by 12, which is approximately 0.00540,833. Next, we can plug the values into the formula. M equals 415,833 times the quantity of 0.00540,833 times the quantity of 1 plus 0.00540833 raised to the power of 360, all divided by the quantity of 1 plus 0.00540,833 raised to the power of 360 minus 1, plus $2,448.73 divided by 12. M equals $2,607.64 plus $204.06. M equals $2,811.70. Therefore, your monthly mortgage payment would be $2,811.70. To calculate how much money you would have to make to stay at 30% of your gross income for that mortgage payment, you can use the same formula as before. Monthly income equals maximum monthly payment times 12 divided by 30%. Assuming you want to stay at 30% of your gross income before taxes and your maximum monthly payment is $2,811.70, the calculation will be as follows. Monthly income equals $2,811.70 times 12 divided by 30%, which equals $11,246.80. Therefore, you would need to make at least $11,246.80 per month, or $134,961.60 per year to stay at 30% of your gross income for that mortgage payment. How much is that at an hourly rate? To calculate how much you would need to make hourly, you can divide your annual income by the number of hours you worked in a year. Assuming a 40-hour work week and 52 weeks per year, we have hourly rate equals annual income divided by the quantity of 40 hours per week times 52 weeks per year. Hourly rate equals $134,961.60 divided by the quantity of 40 times 52, which equals $64.89. Therefore, you would need to make at least $64.89 per hour to stay at 30% of your net income with a monthly mortgage payment of $2,811.70. To stay at or below 30% of your income after taxes, net income, for housing costs, you would need to first determine your net income after taxes, then use the same formulas as above. For example, if your tax rate is 25% and you want to stay at or below 30% of your net income after taxes, you can use the following formula. Maximum affordable housing cost per year equals 30% of net income after taxes. Maximum affordable housing cost per year equals 0.3 times the quantity of gross income minus the product of gross income and tax rate. Therefore, to determine how much money you would have to make per year to stay at or below 30% of your net income after taxes for housing costs, you can set the two formulas equal to each other and solve for gross income. $134,961.60 times 1.25 equals $168,702 per year. Gross income equals $134,961.60 per year plus the product of $134,961.60 in tax rate per year. Assuming a tax rate of 25%, the gross income would be gross income equals $134,961.60 per year plus the product of $134,962.60 and 0.25 per year. Gross income equals $168,702 annually. What percentage of people in the U.S. make at least $134,961.60 or more? According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, ACS, 2020, the median household income in the United States was $67,521. Due to the disparity between estimated average income to median income, this figure means that half of the households in the U.S. earned less than $67,521 and less than half earned more. Note that household income was based on two earners in the house. This amount is not individual income. In 2020, the median individual income in the United States was $36,580. Again, due to the disparity between estimated average income to median income, this figure suggests that at least half the individuals in the U.S. earned less than $36,580 and less than half earned more. It's important to note that this figure refers to individual income, not household income. Household income considers the revenues of all people living in a household, while individual income refers to only a single person's income. Unfortunately, the ACS does not provide specific data on what percentage of people earn $134,961.60 or more. However, using data from the same survey, we can estimate the percentage of people who earned at least that much based on the income distribution. We can look at the income distribution to determine the percentage of people in the U.S. who make at least $134,961.60 or more. According to the same survey, only about 10% of households in the U.S. had an income of $150,000 or more. While we do not have data for $134,961.60 precisely, we can estimate based on this information. Assuming that the income distribution is roughly even between $134,961.60 and $150,000, we can estimate that around 5% of households in the U.S. earned $134,961.60 or more. It is important to note that this is only an estimate and the percentage may vary. This is just an estimate. The actual percentage of people earning $134,961.60 or more could be slightly different. Additionally, this estimate only considers household income and does not include individual income. What about rent? As of 2022, the median cost of rent was $1,794. To afford a rent of $1,794 per month and stay within the commonly recommended guidelines of spending no more than 30% of your income on housing, you would need to make at least $71,760 per year before taxes. Here's the calculation. First, multiply the monthly rent by 12 to get the annual rent. $1,794 times 12 equals $21,528 per year. Divide the annual rent by 0.3, which represents the 30% of income that should be allocated to housing costs. $21,528 divided by 0.3 equals $71,760 per year. Therefore, to afford a rent of $1,794 per month and stay within the 30% guideline, you must make at least $71,760 per year before taxes. It's worth noting that this is a general guideline, and individual circumstances can vary. Other factors such as debt obligations, saving goals, and other expenses may also impact how much you can afford to spend on rent. This paints a fairly clear picture of why we have so much housing insecurity in the USA. According to the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, ACS 2020, the average household size of renters in the United States was 2.23 persons per household. Regarding the current median ratio of income to rent in the USA, it's impossible to provide an exact answer as it can vary significantly depending on the location, housing market, and other factors. However, according to the National Low Income Housings Coalition, NLIHC, Out of Reach 2021 report, the national median gross rent in 2021 was $1,062 monthly. To afford this rent and stay within the commonly recommended guidelines of spending no more than 30% of income on housing, a household would need to make at least $3,540 per month or $42,480 per year before taxes. This translates to a median income to rent ratio of 3.98. According to the same U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey, ACS 2020, the average household size of homeowners in the United States was 2.49 persons per household. It is more complex to determine the median ratio of income to housing costs for homeowners, since homeownership costs can vary greatly depending on factors such as location, property value, mortgage rates, and other expenses. However, a study by the Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University found that in 2019, the median income to housing costs ratio for homeowners in the United States was 2.6, which means that the typical homeowner spends about 38.46, or 100 divided by 2.6, of their annual income on housing costs. Joint Center for Housing Studies of Harvard University, 2020. Lowering the costs of housing and increasing wages are both complex issues that require multifaceted solutions. However, reducing the cost of housing may be a more feasible and practical solution than solely relying on increasing wages. Lowering the cost of housing can be achieved through various means, including increasing the supply of affordable housing, implementing rent control policies, and providing subsidies for low-income individuals and families. While there may be challenges associated with implementing these policies, they have the potential to create more affordable housing options for those struggling with housing costs. On the other hand, simply increasing wages may not necessarily result in an improvement in the affordability of housing. This is because wages are subject to market forces, and wages are not guaranteed to rise in proportion to the cost of living. Additionally, increasing wages may also result in inflation and higher costs of goods and services, which could offset the wage increase. Ultimately, addressing the issue of affordable housing requires a comprehensive approach that involves a range of policy solutions. While increasing wages can help alleviate housing costs, more is needed. How could we feasibly lower the cost of housing? Lowering the cost of housing is a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach. Some possible strategies that could be considered include: 1. Increase the supply of affordable housing. Building more affordable housing units or converting existing properties into affordable housing can help increase the supply and reduce the demand, which can help lower the housing cost. 2. Provide financial incentives to developers. Providing tax breaks, subsidies, or other financial incentives can encourage developers to build more affordable housing units. 3. Implement rent control policies. Rent control policies can help limit the amount that landlords can charge for rent, making housing more affordable for tenants. 4. Regulate short-term rentals. Short-term rentals like Airbnb can increase demand for housing and drive up prices. Regulating short-term rentals can limit their impact on the housing market. 5. Increase funding for affordable housing programs. Providing more funding for programs that support affordable housing can help to make housing more accessible to low-income individuals and families. 6. Encourage transit-oriented development. Building affordable housing near public transit can help reduce transportation costs for residents, making housing more affordable overall. 7. Address systemic issues like income inequality. Addressing systemic issues like income inequality can help increase the purchasing power of lower-income individuals, making housing more affordable. It's important to note that these strategies are not mutually exclusive and can be combined to achieve a more comprehensive solution. Additionally, the feasibility of these strategies may vary depending on local housing market conditions and government regulation. Housing insecurity is a critical issue in the USA due to the high cost of homeownership and rent. The median home price and homeowners' insurance cost requires an income of at least $134,961.60 per year to stay below 30% of gross income for housing costs. To stay at or below 30% of net income after taxes, an income of at least $168,702 per year is required, assuming a tax rate of 25%. However, only a small percentage of the U.S. population earns this much money. The estimate based on the ACS data shows that about 5% of the U.S. population live in households with incomes of $134,961.60 or more, which is just an approximation. This suggests that truly affordable housing remains out of reach for many Americans, and policymakers must take urgent steps to address the issue. In summary, addressing the issue of affordable housing in the USA requires a comprehensive approach that involves a range of policy solutions. Strategies such as increasing the supply of affordable housing, providing financial incentives to developers, implementing rent control policies, regulating short-term rentals, increasing funding for affordable housing programs, encouraging transit-oriented development, and addressing systemic issues like income inequality can all help to make housing more affordable for low-income individuals and families. While increasing wages can help alleviate housing costs, more is needed. Ultimately, it will take a multifaceted effort to make truly affordable housing accessible for all Americans. Our sources for this podcast are in the description. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to subscribe for more interesting topics. Stay curious and have a great day.